Corey, how's it going, man?
Hey man,
All
going well.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. Why don't we just start with who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Absolutely. So I'm Corey Stearns. I'm based in Los Angeles and I am a music producer and music director or MD.
Awesome, man. So when you came to me, you're a developing artist and working on some cool stuff. But what were some of the obstacles you were facing? Why did you reach out to get help? What was kind of going on in your business before we started working together?
Sure. So I think this is probably a similar story that you've heard from a lot of producers or clients that you've worked with, but basically I didn't necessarily always have trouble getting work, but I often had trouble getting paid for the work or really just having an organized system. You know, we, a lot of people who like, I went to college for music production and you get taught how to make music and you get taught all this stuff, but very rarely do we get told how to actually turn it into a business. And that's a whole, from what I've learned working with you, I mean, that's just a whole different mindset. So one of my biggest obstacles was literally just kind of figuring out how to get paid because like you said, I was developing artists and had all these great contacts and stuff, but I was still struggling to pay rent at the end of the month off a lot of the times. So being able to turn that around was, that was the big thing for me.
Right. Yeah. Because you were working with artists that were getting signed to management, had good Spotify numbers and stuff. But it was
Mm.
just sort of sorting out okay, how do you monetize that as a producer? And I think that certainly gives you a leg up to have that. But it
Yeah,
goes to
yeah,
show, sometimes you may see people doing cool stuff, but you don't know really behind the scenes whether they're able to make rent that month or not. So,
right, yeah,
yeah, the business is a whole nother side of kind of what's going on that's forward facing. Um,
exactly.
well, yeah, so we worked together. In transparency, doing this client exit interview way late, like a year after I probably should have done it.
That's
So we worked together a while back. So I know
yeah,
you've gone on to do all sorts of neat things. But if you can remember back, sort of what some of the big wins were, working together, some of the big things you took away from the
sure.
process.
Yeah. I mean, some of the big wins for me was just being able to, I remember like one of the first, this wasn't like the biggest win, but I really remember the feeling, which I think is really important to share. Whenever I first got an artist to say yes, when I got that first yes, which was like a couple months in, I think, um, I had this like insane feeling like, wow, this works. And because I think, to be honest, I think I was not, I don't want to say skeptical. It's just it never happened. So there was this part of me that was like, well, I've never had this happen where an artist paid me and it was just a smooth thing. So whenever I got that feeling, that just kind of gave me a lot of confidence. And so I know that's not necessarily like, that wasn't like my biggest win because I've had a lot cooler stuff that's happened since. But I think just that tipping point
Yeah.
was such a crucial moment for me
Yeah.
because all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait, this is possible. I've it's manifested into reality kind of thing.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So it can be tough sometimes to move out of if you're so used to doing more of the collaboration with
mhm.
people, getting production fees up front from the artist can seem like totally impossible. And yeah, no, skepticism is very, very,
Yeah,
no, it makes sense to have it, right? Because until it's a real thing, it's sort of like, I don't know. So it
yeah.
sounds like just, yeah, having kind of a better sales process and how you think about, the business sense and all of that. And
Yeah, and I mean, since then, I have like a little side offer with like PR and stuff also, and I get clients for that consistently, which is helps bring in, honestly, that helps cover my rent a lot of the times, which helps me because I still do want since I live in LA and I still do a lot of traditional, quote unquote, I guess, music industry work, I'm still open to like doing collaborations, or
Of
sometimes
course.
I have a heavy month where I'm doing a lot of MD shows and I don't have a lot of room in my schedule to necessarily take on um, an online production client. So I don't know if I'm going off on a
Yeah, no,
tangent
that's great.
here.
I actually had, I had, you just reminded me, I'd forgot about, yeah, the PR offer, the ancillary income streams, stuff like
Yeah,
that is sometimes things that we work
yeah,
on. You don't know. It's been a while since we talked, but like the ancillary stuff is something we're moving into pretty heavy
yeah,
with most of our clients, just because it's fun to
yeah.
do. So yeah, your PR offer was great.
And it all
Yeah,
came from that one moment where because once I got the confidence, then it kind of just turned into this fun creative thing. Like, oh, what could I make into an offer? I started looking at my skill sets, and it became like a more fun collaborative thing of, I guess that's the creative side of business, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like there's a lot of people that have confidence in their skill set as a producer, but not
yeah,
necessarily confidence in the business. It's two totally different things. And you've heard my spiel,
yeah,
on the confidence versus courage, right? It's like, you're
yeah,
confident in your production because you've done it a lot, so confidence is in hindsight, is where courage is for applied to things that you haven't really done yet, so it's like, we don't expect someone to be
right,
confident because they haven't done it yet. It's more, do I have the courage to do it? And then once you do it over and over again, you become confident at the business side, just like you did with your, production or guitar, MDing or anything else. So I think it's important for people to separate that, because sometimes, well, I'm not confident. They're like, well, it's not that I don't feel confident. I know I'm good at producing, but for whatever reason, I just can't show up and like pitch this rate, or I'm
right,
afraid of someone telling me no, or it's two different things. So even someone that's, relatively established like yourself still has things to, same here, man. I mean, I'm a relatively established business owner
yeah,
doing this for a decade, but there's still plenty of things that for me to
yeah.
work on too. So
Never ending, but
yeah, absolutely,
what makes it
man.
fun, I guess.
Yeah. You've had awesome growth. So again, this was a while back, but if you remember, obviously, there's a bunch of different options out there. Why did you decide to go with Dark Label with us?
um, well, to be totally transparent, there wasn't a ton of other options that I knew of, but
Gotcha.
I also did, like, I knew about Mark through Berkeley, because one of,
Right.
actually, my ex-girlfriend, who's actually like one of my best friends, she lived next to Mark while he was at Berkeley.
Oh,
And so I like recognized him, and I knew that he kind of like only went to Berkeley for a
a year, I
small
think.
period of time. And I saw that he was like doing all this DIY stuff, and I was just like kind of like blown away. And I was like, nobody at Berkeley teaches this. So I was like, where is he getting this information? So Mark was he was a big push in that direction. But I think what sort of like really sold me was the one-on-one-ness of it, if I'm making up a word there. But
Sure.
being able to just, the fact that you deep dive into each client personally, I think is such a huge thing. Because like we've all bought the online course or downloaded the ebook, and you get some value out of it. You kind
Sure.
of, maybe you take a step forward here and there, but nothing. I think what I really learned with you, nothing changes until you like go deep into your situation, find the weeds and pull them out by the root, and take a step forward. So that's really like was the big thing for me.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, sometimes it just pays to be the only option someone knows about. It's a
Yeah.
good marketing strategy. It's funny because like with back when I was running the Sarning team, the production company, all the stuff that led up to this, which by the way, your girlfriend may also know, Christian Fiore was my lead producer at Sarning
Oh,
team.
really?
He was there with Mark. So yeah, they may know each other. He's actually out there. He'd be someone you should link up with.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great producer. And Mark is actually who connected him and I. But I used to joke because we had a lot of, not that this is really a methodology I push now, but just at the time we had a bunch of like Google rankings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, some people just hired us because we were the first option they found, So hey,
Yeah.
cool, works
Yeah.
for us. We would ask them, oh, why'd you go with Sarning Team? They're like, honestly, you were just the first one that popped up on Google and it seemed cool, so I called and here we are. So yeah, sweet. Well, hey, cool. The only other question I have left is just any advice that you would give to other producers who may have been in your exact situation and facing some of the same obstacles that you were facing. Advice that isn't just hire Dan, but something tangible that you picked up.
Sure. I guess I don't know if it's like super tangible, but I guess the thing that it was more of like a personal skill set that I learned whenever I was in Dark Label was like kind of getting out of my own way, because I think, which we kind of talked about at the beginning of this video, have the courage and figuring out that it's possible is such a big thing. At least it was for me. So, I mean, I guess any advice, I would say don't be afraid to just go out there and, fall on your face every once in a while and just go for it. Because once I started really going for it, then that's when things were kind of changing for me.
Nice. I'll tack something onto that because it kind of is leading down this path. Because this happens a lot when people are trying stuff and it's not working like they thought. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, let me rephrase it. When they're out working a process and they run into obstacles, then they think that they're failing. It's like, no, if you're doing the right thing, you're going to hit obstacles. Like obstacles are how we grow. So I kind of got a little bit of that out of what you said. Don't be afraid of that stuff. If you fall on your face, that means you're moving in the right direction.
It's telling you this is the way not to go. So then okay, it's this way. Yeah.
Yeah. Or that they need to just develop more. It is a legitimate obstacle and that they need to develop more mental toughness or whatever it is to get through it. And they have to kind of grow, and you grow with your problems. It's like a person with a small business, a big problem to a person with a small business is a tiny problem to someone with a big business. Right. And all that changes is that the person with the big business is just, they've grown with their problem. So it doesn't affect them.
I mean,
it's hard.
It's funny. I'm kind of like I feel like I'm kind of touching on a couple of your questions when I'm saying this, but it's funny because like my time in Dark Label was so much like personal growth, so much more personal growth than I expected. I kind of like went in thinking this is going to be like business school and I'm going to learn all this stuff. And it's not that you didn't give me a ton of information and like absurd amount of tactics, all these things I could try. But yeah, man, it's really about getting down to the basics, the fundamentals, and getting those right. And once that happens, it just becomes so much easier. It's funny how simple it is in a way.
I'm laughing because it just brings up I don't say it to everybody, but sometimes I'll joke around, but it's easy, man. The only thing you have to change is everything,
Right.
So becoming just as cliche as it sounds, a better version of what you need. Me and Mark talk about this all the time, right? It's because you can start feeling kind of bad when you build a business and you just kind of become more high maintenance as a person, you're not used to that. You kind of feel a little icky or whatever, but it's like, hey, a Ferrari takes more maintenance than a Toyota, right? It's just is how it is. So I'm not saying I'm a Ferrari, but probably I feel like a VW bus right now, but after Thanksgiving, we'll get back on the gym grind. But well, cool, man. Thanks so much for doing this. Yeah. I'll quit practicing stand-up comedy and let you get back to what you're doing.
Practicing your type 5.
I think I'll stick to business consulting.
Cool, man.
All right, man. Thanks, brother. Have a good one.
Absolutely.
See ya.
See ya.